Hey, everybody. Sorry to interrupt your conversations. Um, yeah, I'm at this point, I'm supposed to do the instructions for Remo, but it looks like everybody's got that figured out. You know that you can move from table to table by double clicking on any empty seat out there. There's 6 people per table allowed. If you see one of the hosts, which would be me or Jerry, you can probably jump in and be number 7 because they have a space that they'll move the host out to. But usually 6 people per table. Introduce yourself. It's a good practice to mute yourself when you're not speaking, just to avoid any feedback. And certainly, if you get a lot of feedback, that's a good way to handle it. If there's for some reason one of the tables isn't working well, sometimes you get a little fuzzy on it. Just everybody move to another table. There's plenty of tables out there. There's a how-to video up on the upper left, right next to your picture. And then if you look around the outside, you'll see that there are sponsor places. A couple of them are just placeholders. Says your logo here. One of them is our logo, and one of them is a Great Columbia Crossing logo. Those are the sponsor lounges, and you can click on any of those logos and go to a little bit more information. The Great Columbia Crossing one is actually the registration page. So if you have not registered, you can actually do that during this conference right now. So just one of the things that we're working on this platform is getting some more getting some more information out there. If you want to be a sponsor, talk to Jerry. It's a really simple process. You just get us whatever information you want out there, whether you want it to link to your webpage or whether you want us to run a video for you or even a buy now button. You can do anything you want there at that platform. If you choose to join us during these events, you can actually hang out over there in those things, so people can come and have one-on-one conversations with you, or you can just go through what everybody else is doing right now. So a couple of announcements, things coming up. Um, Events coming up right now is the Great Columbia Crossing. This Sunday would have been our big race day this year because it's virtual. There's a couple cool things about it. Number one, you can do it on Sunday if you want, but you can also do it anytime through the 27th of this month. This year, everybody gets a T-shirt. It's part of your registration. This year, everybody gets a finisher medal, and they're super cool. They're still on their way. We haven't seen a physical one, but they're really cool. So everybody gets a finisher medal. And I got to tell you, when I finish this race, I am going to wear my medal everywhere. You will not be able to get away from me and my medal because I'm going to be very proud of having run a 10K. But you can also run a 5K this year. Or walk a 5K. In the past, that was a little logistically difficult to go 5K on a 4.3 mile bridge. Basically, it meant you stopped in the middle and waited for the bus. So this year, you can do a 5K, you can do a 10K, you can walk, run. Everybody gets a shirt. There's no sweeper bus, so you can take your time. If you know somebody who just would like to do it, but it's going to take them a while to do it, you can also do it in your own time. So if you want to go a mile here and a half mile there until you get to your assigned length, you can do that as well. So it's really cool. So greatcolumbiacrossing.com, or just click on that icon in the lower left of your screen down there, blue circle on a blue background. And so that's going on. It also means that the Clam Bucks program, which if you remember from Great Columbia Crossing's past, Clam Bucks, everybody that participated got 5 wooden nickel clam bucks, and they could use it at participating retailers and restaurants and everybody else around town. You spend it just like $1. This year, we are not able to do that, obviously, with COVID restrictions. So there's a virtual Clam Bucks coupon book, and there's some great coupons in there. I think there are 30 things in there, 30 different businesses that are participating. So you can go to any of those places. You can get a discount there. You can get something free there. And that will go at least through November 10th. On the coupons, in some cases, they go through the end of the year. We have a coupon in there through the end of the year for race gear and Crab Fest stuff. So that's Great Columbia Crossing right now. Please tell somebody about that. We would really love to see more people sign up for it. You can continue signing up through next week at least. So get people to join. The more the merrier on that, and it helps us to keep the event going for next year when we can hopefully go back and do it live. Next networking event like this will be our chamber breakfast. We are still doing that, and that is still sponsored by Pacific Power. That happens on October 27th. The speakers to be announced. We have not nailed that down yet, but always have good speakers for those things. And again, a good opportunity to kind of meet your fellow business people. That starts at 7:45 on Tuesday, October 27th. The next business after hours is November 12th, which is another Thursday, and that will be at Watershed Wellness. Back at the beginning of the pandemic, back in March, we did a ribbon cutting at Watershed Wellness, and we combined it with a bash, and we ended up doing that virtually on Facebook Live with a limited internet connection, and it was a fun thing, but it was not good enough to feel proud of the effort that we did with Watershed Wellness. So we're bringing them back, and it's a really cool place that they've got there at the Port of Astoria. Beautiful job that they've done with the space, and just a great business model, and they've adapted beautifully for COVID. So looking forward to talking with them. And then the last thing I want to make an announcement, chamber announcement, is that we have a job opening. Kelsey would normally be running the show here. Kelsey has left the chamber. She has taken a position elsewhere in the county, and we are very, very happy for her. We really hate to see her go. She has been an absolutely wonderful member of our team. She's done great things for us, and she's left us better than she came. And that's really all that we can ask. So we wish Kelsey well, but we are now hiring as an event coordinator position. So you'll find that on our website. You'll find that on Indeed. You'll find that on LinkedIn, that job posting, or you can just call me or Jerry, and we'll send you a link to that registration. So if you know anybody who would be a good team member here, we'd love to hear from them. New member report. I'm going to turn this over to Jerry so he can introduce some of our new members.
Hi, everybody. How is everybody doing? So we do have 7 new members in September from last month. I'll just go through those real quick. And we were talking earlier with some of the people at one of the tables. We have a lot of new businesses. Some of these are new or new to the area. Crestcom Wi-Fi is one of them, and he's fairly new to the area, and he's providing Wi-Fi to some of the kids that can't get to school up through the area on 30 between here and Longview. We have Lower Columbia Q Center with Jim Summers. We have Slurpalicious. We had Candy come and speak at one of our events. It's a eatery ordering app. It's brand new in town. She's offering free app to those that are in Astoria to get this started. So if you're interested, please contact Candy. It's Slurpalicious, or you can contact us. We'll get you the phone number. A-Town Coffee is with Heather Jensen. La Petite, we have Chris here joining us this evening. La Petite Astoria Spa is new. We had Pat Farmer from Domino's. Pat has a store in Seaside, and he also has one in Warrenton, and they just opened the one here in Astoria, and we're excited to have Pat and his team here. And then Blessed Beauty Bar, and that's with Carissa McCall, and she just opened in March, and then the COVID-19 thing happened, and so she's just now really getting going, just joined us as a member as well. So we're excited that we have these new members, and it's exciting to see so many people wanting to get going in this time. So we're here to help. Anything we can do. Dave, I'll turn it back over to you.
Thank you, Jerry. Jerry's doing a fantastic job of getting out there and virtually and physically and meeting new people in the community and getting them on board. Been very, very pleased and impressed with the number of people who are joining us at this time, renewing their membership and getting involved. I think everybody's sort of seeing that the recovery from what we're doing right now, the recovery happens together. There's the only thing anybody's going to do it by themselves. So this is a really good place to have together. And if you're enjoying this platform tonight, please share this information with other people. The more the merrier on this platform. The more people there are, the more connections we make, the better we can do. And it's one of the tools that we got working for you. So thanks, Jerry, for introducing those members, and thank you to those members. So if you talk to any of them, if you get a chance to do business with them, especially, please thank them for being members of the chamber and being supporters of the community. Okay, I see Judy says hi. Our ambassador president Judy Hoff is on the call tonight. Without further ado, I would like to introduce our speaker tonight. This is Captain Dan Travers. Dan is actually the president this year of our chamber board of directors. He's been a wonderful partner and help this year. My board is fantastic. They have been since I got on board here, but this year in particular, everybody stepped up and made this difficult time far less difficult. So for that, I thank Dan. Dan is a former commander of the Coast Guard here, Coast Guard Air Station here, and he's also the customer service representative for LifeFlight Network here. And LifeFlight just opened a brand new hangar out at the airport, and we would love to have gone out there and done a live walkthrough, but that's not safe to do right now, and so we're going to do it this way. So Dan, I'm going to turn it over to you if that's okay. Are you able to get on? Just click on your camera on and microphone on. Here you come.
Okay.
All right, I'm going to step away.
Okay, you want me to share? Hang on, let's get this
Okay.
screen shared first to make sure this is going to work. Get this going. All right, I think that should do it. So Dave, do you see the presentation? Is it up?
I do, and it'll be even more up when I go away.
Okay. All right, well, I'm just going to kick it off. Thanks for the warm invitation to do this, Dave, and also for the kind introduction. Just briefly, Dave touched on it. I retired from the Coast Guard in 2016 after 30 years. Been a helicopter pilot. Been flying since 1992. Actually started flying helicopters after flying fixed wing in flight school in '93, and been flying them ever since. Love it, and love working for LifeFlight. I've been with them since I got out in 2016, actually with them a couple months before I got out. So anyways, I'm going to quickly go through a little bit overview of LifeFlight. I'll talk about, who we are, what we do. I'll get into some of the membership because that's usually some of the questions I have. And then I've got a picture tour of the base and then just some pictures of other things of helicopters and planes doing what we do. So here we go. So the mission and values, you can read those. I'm not going to read it to everybody, but probably the biggest thing about LifeFlight, people try to figure out what we are. We are a flying critical care ambulance. So it's a flying critical care intensive care unit, basically. If you can picture what goes on in an ICU, that's what could go on the back of the helicopter. It's to that level of care that we can provide. We fly the sickest of the sick. We fly people that are not stable from scene calls, which would be maybe picking them up on the highway in traumatic places like that. And we get them to where they need to go, which is usually in the Portland area or in the Seattle area. One of the hallmarks I like to, a core value for us is customer service, and we're renowned for that. That's one thing that just impresses me. Our folks are just so nice. They work with everybody. They're not condescending. They get in there. They immediately team, whether in the emergency room, whether we're in an intensive care unit at a hospital picking up, or we're at the scene. So it's pretty neat to see. We have 4 owners. Everybody, I'm sure, is familiar with Providence Health Systems, Legacy Health, and OHSU. The 4th one is St. Alphonsus, and St. Alphonsus is based in Boise. So those are the 4 owners. We're a not-for-profit company. Here's just some stats. Not going to go through all of them, but a couple of the first I think are pretty important. We were the first air medical program in the Pacific Northwest. We started in 1978. First program to carry blood, to incorporate a paramedic, and to achieve the dual ratings that you see. We have our own Part 135 certificate, which is a big deal to have that. And it works out really well for us. We do transport neonatal teams. We have the OHSU Panda team on site in Aurora, and we also fly the kids teams out of Legacy Emmanuel, and then we have some other neonatal pediatric teams that are up in Spokane. This is just some of the aircraft that we have. The fixed wing there is a Pilatus. That's a predominant fixed wing. We have one jet that's based in Aurora, but generally if you see a fixed wing aircraft, well, at least around here, you might see one or the other. You might see the jet, you might see the Pilatus. And the helicopter beside it is a single engine VFR only helicopter, which means it doesn't go in the clouds. And then the ambulance behind is we have some of those in several places too. And I'll talk a little bit more about that. So here are our bases. This gives you a sense, the color coded for like whether they have an ambulance, a helicopter, jet, or a plane. And it gives you a sense of where they are. What you'll probably notice is while we have one ambulance that's in the Portland area, and that's more for the pediatric team, most of these bases are not in the hubs. They're not in Portland. They're not in Seattle. And so we put the aircraft where the customer is, and then we fly to the hub. So in our case, we've got a helicopter in Astoria, one in Kelso, one in Newport. All of those are flying into the Portland area. We're picking up patients kind of in those areas. We cover for each other. It's not uncommon for me to fly down to Newport or fly over to Kelso. I've even been up in the Seattle area to cover when Port Angeles and Coupeville is out flying their flights. And they vice versa do the same for us. So this just gives you a sense of where we're at. Again, good helicopter picture. This is Legacy Emmanuel, which is one of our places that we keep a fuel cache there. So we go there regularly. Again, this is a VFR helicopter only. The clinical team that we fly with a paramedic and a nurse. They're both flight paramedic, flight nurse. They have an incredible amount of experience. The minimum that we'll take them on with our program is they have to have 5 years of critical care. The paramedics usually come either from the fire departments or they'll come from an ambulance, and the nurse is usually coming from the hospital system. And it's a good balance because we fly patients either from a facility where we pick up or go to a scene call. And if we're in the facility, the nurse is very fluent with that, understands, like I said, has come from that environment. If we're working at a scene call, the paramedic's super fluent with that. So it works really good to have these two teamed up. But again, lots of training, lots of experience for both of them, and lots of certifications that they have to keep up. This gives you the view in the back. This is a 119, that VFR helicopter, pretty tight. As you can see, you got one patient in there, two people, and that's kind of what it's like in the back of the helicopters. Fixed wing gives you a little bit more room, but this just gives you a sense of how tight it can be. Helicopter pilots, again, all high time. Everybody has to come with a minimum of 2,500 hours of pilot and command time. We have, the average for overall flying, for those guys is 5,000. There's one pilot I know I think got 18,000 hours of rotor wing time. So just really experienced. We all have flown goggles, night flying. In fact, all our check rides are done at night on night vision goggles, or if we're instrument rated, we try to do those in the clouds. Another good picture of a helicopter. This is on a scene call. The two life flight people that you see there, that's the paramedic and a nurse working with another crew to bring the patient to the helicopter. We do running scene calls, which means we leave the helicopter running. Occasionally we'll shut down if it's a long time or something else, but generally we keep the helicopter running to just expedite getting the patient out of there. All right, so the aircraft information, I'm just going to go over the helicopters. This is the EC-135. This is the one that you're predominantly going to see in this area. It's instrument rated. In fact, this is our helicopter. That is the A-jetty behind there. And if you saw the full view of the helicopter, you would actually see a story in the background. But that's over at Cape Disappointment. So this helicopter is twin engine. It's capable of flying in the clouds, night vision goggles. It goes about 167 miles. That's the max cruise speed. We carry blood, and it's only able to transport one patient, and we can usually take possibly one family member if they need to. We have this at, in Astoria, Kelso, down in Newport, Cottage Grove, and the Dalles right now. This is the 119. This is the VFR only helicopter, single engine. Doesn't go in the clouds, but if it did, it would be very capable, but we don't try to go there with it. This is the predominant helicopter we have at a lot of the bases because most of our bases are VFR. We only have 5 bases that can fly instrument, and they're all on the coast. One's in Astoria, Newport, up in Port Angeles, Coupeville, and then we have Kelso, which actually Baxville. So while they're not on the coast, they come to the coast a lot to help out. So those are the IFR bases. Anyways, this helicopter is a little faster. Like I said, it's single engine. It's got an amazing Garmin system on board, 175 miles per hour, carries blood, capable of carrying 2 patients, but I showed you the cabin before, so you can see it's a little tight. Generally, if we'll try to send one patient with the helicopter. If we have like a multi-car accident or something where we have several patients we're trying to fly out, we'll just send more helicopters because we think it's better care. But if they need to, they can fly 2 people in the back and also fly a family member up front. This is the 109, another IFR helicopter. This is the only one that's on wheels that we have right now. These are based up in Port Angeles and Coopville. Again, this is the fastest helicopter we fly. I love flying this helicopter. I've flown it. It's 193 miles per hour, which is pretty amazing for a helicopter. Twin engine, again, capable of going in the clouds and capable of taking 2 people. Although we have them set up to take 1 patient and then again, a family member. So that gives you a sense of the helicopters. This is our dispatch. Just put a picture in there for a plug for them. You can see all the screens that they're looking at. Pretty much they have helipads up there. They've got all the base screens. They look like just any 911 dispatch. If you went in there, you'd see the same thing. Computer layouts, lots of people in there, usually really quiet, but that's dispatch. So why helicopter transport? So the reason that you're doing it mostly is it reduces the out of hospital time. These are patients that, if you live on the coast and you have something to do with a cardiac event or some major trauma, there's no level 1 hospitals on the coast. There's no cath labs, that can take care of the heart. We fly all those patients into the hub, which would be the Portland area, the Seattle area. And this is the best way to do it for those patients that are critical. These are some of the indications for trauma and some of the non-trauma events that we would fly. Any of these patients falling in these categories are all patients that we could typically fly on the helicopters. Again, we do it when time matters. If you're having an acute STEMI, which is a heart attack, we always talk about the time that you walk in the ED to the time of the intervention. And we want that to be under 2 hours, even less if we can. And if they're coming from the field, as in we pick them up at a scene, then our goal is to have them into the cath lab in less than an hour and a half. Anything to delay with a heart situation, it kills muscle and that muscle doesn't come back. So that's why time matters on those. These are some other things that, for mechanism of injuries, we might have people that fall near drownings, trauma. Any of these things would probably all be likely for candidates for people to get flown. Other consideration, this happens with us a lot. Remote locations like a logging accident. I've got a picture of one that I did this summer. I've flown 3 or 4 loggers, I think, in my 4 years with LifeFlight. Might be a mass casualty, might be that the roads are icy or the bridge is out right now that they're working on in the Portland area. Things of that nature would all be other reasons for why you might want to get to the Portland area and might want to fly that patient. I'm going to switch over and talk about membership really quick. Got a few slides. Again, I'm happy to take questions after about this. This is usually one that we get a lot of questions. But basically, the biggest reason you would consider having membership if you're a patient in the category where a person that you have Medicaid will cover you 100% if you're flown by LifeFlight. Medicare is 80% covered, and then there's the 20% that you be responsible for. However, most people have a supplemental, and then for those that don't, you can get a membership and it covers everything. There'll be no out-of-pocket expenses whatsoever. Anybody that's on your tax return is covered. So how does it work? Basically at home, on the road, out and about, dial 911, or in the out and about category, a lot of people will have spot devices and they just register the spot device with us and they activate that. And they might be the folks who are like out in the woods someplace. And honestly, a lot of times ambulances can't get there. And the only thing you see is the helicopter showing up. And we have that a lot in Montana and Idaho, where they go to some really remote places. And in those cases, they shut the helicopter down. The 3-person crew works together to get the person. But the cost can get expensive if you don't have membership, or if you're facing a bill. So that's a good reason why to consider it. These are just some more benefits. I think I touched on most of these things. Probably the thing I hadn't hit yet was we have reciprocity with 4 other air providers, and I'll show you that. And those are things that you could consider if you were wanting to do a membership. That's a reason why. This is the coverage and the cost. You can do 1 year, 2 year, 5 year. Again, the biggest way to understand is anybody that's on your tax return is usually somebody as a family. So if you're wondering if you could claim the person or if they would be eligible, that's the best way to understand it. So these are the places that have the reciprocal partnerships, the 4 that we have. So what that means is if you would fly with them, you still wouldn't see a bill. You're covered based on that reciprocity. FireMed is another one. We run the FireMed program for the fires, and this works at, there's an ambulance usually for some of the smaller fire departments in these areas, and this list isn't complete, and some of these might have changed out a little, but there's an air component too that you could get the life flight air if you flew by helicopter, or if you went by ground, and they call that FireMed. The best place to see it, this next slide gives you the coverage. As you can see, Astoria is up there, but right now we don't have that current, we don't have a combined air and ground in Astoria. We had that. That's why it's good to go to the website if this is something you're considering if you're out in those areas. I get asked this question a lot: do I need more than one air medical membership? And that really depends upon where you're at. If you're anywhere out and about in the four places, the four states that we fly in, Montana, Idaho, Oregon, and Washington, you're covered. If you're elsewhere, that might be something you'd have to look into. May not be covering those things unless you're flown by one of those other flight programs. So that's something you'd probably have to take a look at and consider on your own based on your situation. Here's how you could become a member if you need to. And I think I will leave that a lot done with membership. And now I'm going to kick through some slides. These are all pictures, so I'll hopefully do less talking. But we're really happy with this space. It was a long time to build this, working through a lot of, port politics, local city politics, but we got it done. We got the hangar built. We've been in there since April, and it's amazing to have your facility all in one place. Before, our hangar was a quarter-mile away. We had a double wide trailer we were in. Then we moved to apartments for a while. Our helicopter was on the Coast Guard base. So it was really kind of all over the place, but now it's all in one building. This is it, one hangar that houses the helicopter. So we're pretty excited. That front door there, when you go in that front door, you'll see this hallway on the left. If you walk straight to where the exit sign is, that takes you out onto the hangar. The three rooms on the left are rooms for the crew. The first one's the paramedics, the next one the nurse, and the final one is the pilot's room. And to the right, that picture just gives you a view into the pilot room. It's the only room that has a computer in it, and we do that because we're the ones that takes the call at night. We need to check weather. We need to see whether we can take the flight or not. So that is that's the only room that has a computer in it. They all have beds. You can't see the pilot's bed. It's just to the right there. This is in the rec area, and that little area you see straight ahead is some mannequins. The crews are required to do so much training, and they regularly practice, and we'll see them doing that. The door that's open right there is the medical charting room. We're going to enter that now. And you can see there's a nice glass that looks through. That's the helicopter on the hangar deck. That's just the med charting room right there. In the picture to the right, there's a refrigerator, and we keep blood in there. And then the narcotics are in the safe that's up on the wall. But we do carry blood. We get our blood comes from CMH, and we trade out to make sure that it's fresh. But we carry that, which is a really big deal and really super helpful when you're transporting patients who need it. Just another shot of the rec area. Nice big window right there. Works out really good. This is heading into the kitchen area. And this is just a shot of the kitchen, but it's got all the amenities. Works really good. It's all in one place. Pretty excited about that. This is the hangar. The hangar is great. As you can see, it fits a helicopter, no problem whatsoever. That long strip underneath the helicopter that's running in line with the helicopter is actually a drain. So we can wash the helicopter inside. So in the winter, if it gets really cold, we're just going to pull inside. We actually have to wash inside because of the stormwater drain policies at the airport. But that helicopter is on skid, so we keep it on what's called a dolly, which you see right there. We have a different tractor other than the white one, but that's tows the aircraft in and out, and we can move it around as we need to. This is what the helicopter looks out on the ramp. This one's not on a dolly at the time. When I took this picture, the inside of the hangar, we hadn't been authorized yet. They're still working on the fire detection system, but it's a nice big ramp to put the helicopter on. So again, really, really excited about this hangar. I'm just going to click through some pictures. This is actually our helicopter, or the other one that we have flown, 826. It's over in Pacific County doing some training with them. We regularly do landing zone training with the fire departments so that we actually get the call. It's hopefully a seamless evolution, pretty well rehearsed, so we do that a lot. This is some of the beach training we did last summer. This is with Seaside Rural Fire Protection District. And it just gives you, a sense of who we're training with the lifeguards and with Seaside down there. This is a shot. People always ask me about rotor wash and what it looks like to brown out or white out. You can see the helicopter coming in the top left. This was for the landing at Seaside, and you can see the stand starting to kick up a little bit. And just he lands, and there's just a cloud that engulfs the helicopter. This was fine. It didn't really brown out on him too much. If you were to pull something like off this, going back into the woods where there's a lot of dirt, or if you're landing in the snow, you can engulf the helicopter where you wouldn't even be able to see it. So we're always looking out for things like that. And there's certain ways that we land to prevent this from happening. But it was a good shot to show what rotor wash is like and why, when a helicopter comes in, it's always good to cover your eyes and kind of duck a little bit. Just another picture of, this is a VFR helicopter. They're just loading a patient. This was out in Sisters, and it just gives you a sense. This is a side load helicopter, but it gives you a sense of what it's like to with the helicopter. Good picture of a Pilatus, a fixed wing. I think this one was up in Port Angeles, but just a nice picture. These are the Pilatus and the 109 flying. Another picture of the VFR helicopter out, and you can see this is some of the backcountry that we could take the helicopter in. Pretty much if we can land, all we need is about 100 by 100 foot square. It can be in trees. I'll show you one of those where I landed like that, or it could be something like this, but we'll go, and it's the crew right there that's working to get the patient. You can see the pilots already in the helicopter with it running. Just a good picture of the helicopter, looking at the mountains in the background, flying. This is with Walla Walla. They had a situation where they had multiple people in need of flying out. And as you can see, we're going to take them out one by one. We've actually opened a base in Walla Walla. We had a temp base there. We always open in the winter. We're going to make it permanent here later this month. So pretty excited about that. Another scene here, beautiful mountains, great landing, fun place to fly. Beach scene. You can see we work with all sorts of different folks here. Picture of a dolly in the Pilatus, just to give you another sense of what the dolly looks out outside. This one is the one I was talking about. Those are all 200-foot trees. It's in the woods. I went and flew into for a logging accident. This was this summer. It was down in the Tillamook area, and we're working with the Tillamook Fire and the Tillamook ambulance. This gives you a sense of where we can land the helicopter as long as we have enough space coming in and out with the trees. Good picture with the rainbow. And that is it for my slideshow. So I'm going to end there. And let's see. I see there's one question. Let me go to that really quick. Great question. So what kind of maintenance is required after a beach or dusty landing? So we're going to wash the helicopter for sure, because it doesn't have, the nice thing about being on skids is that there's no landing gear there, although we land the helicopter with wheels for sure on the beach as well. It's just required for them to take a look at to make sure that they'll get a good cleaning on it, to make sure there's no grit and everything getting into the wheels in that case. And with the helicopter it's on skids, it's actually really benign. We'll make sure that there's, a lot of times you find just, sand everywhere. We'll just dust it off and, continue flying with it. I think that's the only question I see. If you have any other questions, just pop them up. Dave, were there any that you saw?
None that we had out here. But again, throw them in there and we'll watch for them. So thanks, Scott, for putting that out there. I just wanted to say that Dan is prohibited by HIPAA regulations from saying anything about my flying the in the helicopter, but I will tell you for a fact that I flew last year. We were actually given a choice at the hospital as to whether we wanted to go ground ambulance or air. We chose air in part because we had the membership, and it just wasn't even a worry about what's it going to cost, and we just yes, put me in a helicopter. When I got to Portland, the guy said, "Yeah, no, you wouldn't have survived a ground ambulance. It was that bad." So having that capability here, having the competence here, I don't remember much about the ride. But it was, I remember being treated very well. And I know that it saved my life. So it's one of those things that is just a tremendous asset to have here. The membership thing, I highly recommend. It's really affordable. And again, just that peace of mind of not worrying about, do I have to think about money? No, I just have to think about what's right for me as the patient or as my family member as a patient. So wanted to kind of give that plug out there for it. It's no joke. It's a big deal.
Thanks, I appreciate that. And one thing I didn't mention, and you brought it up with the ground, sometimes if we're not flyable, rotor or fixed wing, we'll send the crew ground. At the ambulance, if we need to go and they need that capability, we'll definitely put our crew in the back of an ambulance and send them. We do that a lot.
Wonderful. Yeah. Okay. So you basically not quite an ICU, but you at least get the ICU nurse, flight nurse on the ground ambulance.
Yep,
Excellent.
you bet.
Okay. Excellent. So no other questions for Dan. Dan, thank you very much for that presentation today, and for
You're
everything that
welcome.
you do for the community, for the chamber, for the patients of Life Flight. Okay, a couple of quick announcements, and I'm going to send it back to networking. I want you guys to meet one another. Dan's going to be at a table, so go find him if you've got things you want to ask him about. Anybody ever has a private question for somebody, just you can both go meet at another table or in one of the lounges. So anyway, go talk to Dan. Dan, if you'll just turn your camera off and your microphone off, you'll go out of this presentation mode. I want to let you guys know that there is a cash pot drawing tonight of $100, and so we'll do that. We'll do that in about 10 or 12 minutes, just kind of see how the networking goes, and we're going to give away that $100 cash pot. So I will see you guys back out at the table, and we will get on with the networking. So go talk to somebody new.